Hi from Karachi National Stadium, Cal.
Hey Mel, good to see you up and running. What an experience it'd be for you over there.
Absolutely wild. I'm just going to show you. Hopefully it doesn't disturb the connection too much. But just so you know where I am, I'm here. There's training going on down there.
Ah, magnificent.
Yeah, it's all
Very, very jealous.
very, very excited.
I'm
Pumped.
I'm very jealous,
Yeah,
Mel.
I bet you are. Pumped for Pindi, and now I'm pumped for Karachi. But we've got loads and loads to talk about. So I say, let's get on with the show.
We do.
Hello everyone and welcome to Timed Out for Sporting News Australia. Callum Ferguson joining me from Adelaide while I'm here in Karachi. Very excited about the second test and I think we might see a very, very different second test than the one from the first. So let's get on with our first topic because it is about that first test. It ended in a draw. Well, we'll talk a little bit about how that unfolded, but the big news here today is that Mitchell Swepson is finally going to get his baggy green after being in and around the Australian camp since the 2017 Tour of India. Really exciting to see how he goes in this, and there's also a bit of I guess it's a bit poignant as well with the passing of Shane Warne and everything that's happened in the past week to actually then see a leg spinner for Australia come out here at Karachi, where Shane Warne almost won an impossible game for Australia back in 1994. How excited are you for him, Cal?
I'm super excited for Mitchell. I've seen him from a very early age come onto the domestic scene in Australia, and he's been a natural talent. He's a competitor. He likes to get into the contests. I think he's a guy that has really earned his place in this Australian team. If he gets an opportunity, which we all believe he will, and hopefully no incident between now and then, he is going to debut for Australia, and it's super exciting to have a leg spinner in the first 11 for the Australian cricket team again. So soon after the tragic passing of Shane Warne, it's super exciting. It would have been nice to see him play in that first test, actually. Obviously, it was very, very flat and docile, but you never know with a leggy, if they get a bit of a run on. But certainly, from what we're led to believe, this wicket will certainly offer a lot more to the bowlers, and that's super exciting with Australia now taking the field with a leg spinner in the lineup. He's a guy that does give the ball a rip, which is what I'm excited about, having played a fair bit against him in the last few years. He gives it a rip and he gets in the contest. That's what we like in our Australian leg spinners.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm quite a way away from the pitch. We've only seen it at intermittent times while it was uncovered. The Australians, when they did take the covers off at one point, they literally jogged over there. Dave Warner and beckoned Shaheen Shah Afridi to come over so that they could have a peek together. Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne were over in the boundary nets, scuffing up the pitch massively. So they're clearly expecting that it's going to crumble and break up possibly fairly soon. So, I think Mitchell Swepson will be licking his lips at the thought of what this pitch might do for him. So, yeah, definitely from what I can see. Just one other thing on the just what I've been noticing today, which is really interesting. They've been using the heavy roller on the square, and that's not something that I've personally seen a lot of, but from talking to people here, apparently it's because the square is quite unique. It's pretty amazing. I don't think I've seen one like it for a test match. It's so dusty on that square. They're trying to get it to settle, and so that's why they've been using the heavy roller, even though there's not a scrap of grass on it, and it's just an unusual sight. So maybe reverse will come into it as well, Cal, if this centre block is as abrasive as it looks.
Yeah, no doubt that if it's an abrasive surface around the pitch itself, that will contribute to reverse swing, being able to scuff up one side of the ball. The umpires are very diligent in making sure that the fielders aren't throwing the ball onto the pitch itself, but they'll generally be okay with the ball landing on pitches around and on the square, not the pitch that you're playing on. If it is overly bare on the square, they may actually start to suggest to the fielding side they're not allowed to land the ball on the rest of the square as well where it is bare. It'll be interesting to see whether that does come into play and that the fielders are spoken to about that throughout the test match. No doubt the umpires will monitor that, because they obviously don't want it to be embarrassing from the point of view that fielders are just throwing the ball from the ring or close to the square straight into the bare patches to create reverse swing. We understand there's a subtle art to creating it, but you don't want it to be so obvious that, we've got kids in the lower levels and the underage system just throwing the ball into whatever they can find to try and rough the ball up. So we're always about setting good examples, aren't we, Mel?
Always about setting good examples, and that's actually a really interesting point. So something to watch out for. Speaking of things like pitches and everything else, our second topic for Timed Out, the ICC has given the Rawalpindi pitch a below average rating. So Rawalpindi gets 1 demerit point. If they accumulate 5 demerit points over a rolling 5-year period, then they lose the right to host international cricket for a period of 12 months. So that news came out last night in Pakistan time. Your thoughts on that pitch, Cal? I mean, teams are well within their rights to prepare pitches in their home country that are going to suit their own team and make things difficult for the opposition. Every team around the world does it. How did you rate that pitch yourself from watching the test?
Oh, look, I think if you're strictly to the letter of the law, it deserved to have a demerit point against it. It wasn't a good test pitch. It wasn't the sort of pitch that was going to promote eyes on when it comes to viewership, and it certainly wasn't a great advertisement for the game, and that's what we're after. We want to make sure that it's something that's must-see. We need to be watching this cricket. That wasn't promoting that. So unfortunately, they have to take that hit. Albeit, I must admit, it's the first time they'll have had a test match on that pitch for a long, long time. So, when I say that, it's the first time, or they haven't had a lot of test cricket on that pitch for a long, long time. So it's going to take some time for the curators to get a read on what exactly works for that square. It's not always as simple as, we'll just prepare a pitch and, this will make it finish on the last hour of day 5, just like Les Burdett seemed to be able to miraculously create at Adelaide Oval year in, year out. That takes time, that takes experience for curators, and there hasn't been a lot of test cricket in Pakistan. We know that for a long, long time. So, look, I hope that if they find themselves in trouble in the coming years because there's been a few pitches that haven't worked out the way they wanted, there will be some leniency for the curators at Rawalpindi, because it's not as simple as just preparing a pitch that works at the elite level. There's a lot of subtleties that come into it. So hopefully they get it right next time. If they don't, I'd like to make sure that we're getting them all the support that we possibly can, because we don't want a situation where they've had 3 test matches in 20 years and all of a sudden they're being banned already. I think it needs to be a lot of thought given to that and make sure it's handled with sensitivity. I've got no doubt this next test match, though, will have a result in it.
I'm absolutely expecting that. I wouldn't be unhappy with a 4-day result here, and then I can get a day to explore Karachi. Don't tell anyone I said that. Okay. Okay. So next topic.
We won't hold it against you.
No. What can I say? So again on the same theme of that test, just wondering who you think really would be happiest coming out of that. Because obviously, although it was difficult, not a lot happened. The 4 Centurions were Pakistan players, with Imam Al Haq getting 2 big centuries. And And also, Naman Ali took 6 wickets when Nathan Lyon was really struggling. The only wicket Nathan Lyon took was basically a gimme when Abdullah Shafiq really gave away his wicket. So and there was also a run out for Australia. So it really, you would have to think that maybe Pakistan came away from that thinking, yep, we've done all right here.
Yeah, I'd agree with that 100%. I think they walk away from that test match feeling a lot more comfortable than what the Australians possibly do. We might all say, it was a hard-fought draw, there was nothing in it. Well, Pakistan took a few more wickets than Australia did, and they made a few more runs. When you look at it as a whole, they've got players that have hundreds to their name, and that certainly brings a sense of confidence and comfort to batters, no doubt about it. And when wickets are being taken, like Pakistan were able to, some confidence comes out of that. I certainly feel like there'll be some Australian batters that are feeling like they missed an opportunity. Does that create a bit more desperation to make a big 100 in the next test match, which can lead to, perhaps players losing their game, the shape of their game, and maybe go searching a little bit more? My gut feel is Pakistan walk away feeling a lot more comfortable than what the Australians do. The Australians won't admit to that, but certainly from an outsider's view, you can't argue with hundreds, and you can't argue with the fact that Pakistan were able to take more wickets. So it's a big test match coming up. I mean, this one here gives the winner a huge amount of ascendancy. Both sides will be desperate to get the upper hand early on the first day. It'll be exciting to see the toss. Obviously, always a big result in subcontinent conditions. We know that. So there'll be a lot of eyes on that toss, no doubt about it.
There certainly will. And you definitely sensed, talking to the Australians, their frustration. Rawalpindi was probably the pitch where they were hoping their fast bowlers might actually have the best opportunity to get on top. So here, I don't know. Very skiddy, apparently, is also what they say locally. It's going to be very, very interesting. Some feeling that maybe Mark Steckity might have been one that could have done well here. So let's see what happens. Okay, moving along.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the Women's World Cup, because and I'm just going to. The Women's World Cup has been absolutely enthralling so far. I've only been able to get sort of glimpses of it in the morning and watch as much as I can. It's been on in the press box, which has been great to see. But it's so wide open. Yeah. It's just these results. England losing a couple of matches, West Indies playing out of their skins. It's just been made you feel that really, beyond having confidence that Australia will go all the way to the final, who else is going to get there? And that's not, a lay down misère. Who else is going to get there seems incredibly open at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does, Mel, no doubt about it. I think the West Indies getting over the top of New Zealand late in that first game, what a close game it was. New Zealand had a horror show in that last over, there's no doubt about it. But the fact that they were able to get that win, the West Indies, well, they've taken a bit of confidence out of that, haven't they? That was a big win against England that they followed it up with, and no doubt about it, they'll be the ones that eyes will be on. I think everyone expected Australia to be strong in this World Cup, but I think that the West Indies women are really putting their hand up and saying, we're here and we're here to compete, and we're going to push this right to the death now. I think they'll be there, right there at the end of this tournament. So much of these tournaments, I believe, is about momentum and whether you're able to create it and hold on to it. Shane Bond and I, when he was coaching and I was captain of the Thunder, we used to butt heads on this one. He doesn't believe in momentum, but I'm a big believer in momentum, and particularly in tournament-style competitions. I think West Indies have got it in the World Cup at the moment, and Australia have certainly got a fair bit of it. So they're the two teams to watch at the moment for mine. However, we know how dangerous New Zealand are, and in my opinion, they're the ones to watch. I think Australia and New Zealand will be the two teams in the final.
Australia and New Zealand, wow, Trans-Tasman, that's good. Yeah, then the semi-finals, you've got South Africa, India, even England. Any of those teams, you can imagine seeing them there.
There's some good sides there, no doubt about it.
What do you think of the Deandra Dottin catch, by the way?
Oh, unbelievable. I mean, what we have spoken about a bit on this show before is the improvement in the fielding in the women's game, and it has been something that has been quite stark. Particularly, we saw it here in the Australian summer, just how steep the improvement has been. It's been incredible to watch, and that was just another shining example of that. And I just, I think that we're really in for a treat over the next sort of 4 or 5 years of watching the women's game, because it's going from strength to strength, and it's only going one way, and that's up.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Well, lastly, but definitely not leastly, the MCC have announced some changes to the laws in the game. Now, for anyone out there who hasn't seen them already, you can check out on the Sporting News YouTube channel that you're watching this on. We were lucky enough to be able to have Fraser Stewart from the MCC explain all the laws. We've got great animations in there, really great explainers of why they've made those changes. Anything stand out for you in particular? There were some pretty significant ones in there, I thought, Cal.
Yeah, there were. Certainly the one that's going to catch a lot of attention is the man-cad rule. I think, look, I sit on the fence of if the ball hasn't been delivered, you shouldn't be getting a head start. I think that you should be standing in your crease, making sure that the ball has been delivered, and then you can choose to leave the crease if you want to. Leaving early is that's a foul. I think you shouldn't be doing that, and it's not checked overly closely at the moment in the game. Well, I think that's going to change, and certainly I think the bowler is within their rights at the moment, the way the laws are, to remove the bails if you've left your crease. I certainly think that there's probably better ways to go about it going forward. I think there'll be amendments to the rule, and perhaps even a penalty system if batters are found to have left the crease and obviously the bails haven't been removed. If on replay, like we check for no balls and whatnot, and that doesn't necessarily have to slow the game down. Just we just make sure that while we're checking the no ball, we're checking that the non-striker is still in the crease.
Yeah.
It's a simple one for mine, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Well,
that's one for free. Certainly,
I was just going to say, I think the main thing with it, because they've moved it essentially, because they've not changed it as such, but they've moved it from sitting in unfair play to sitting in a run out. So it's now in the area with all other run outs, because they're basically saying that's what it is. It's just a run out. And I guess it's trying to remove the stigma that exists around running out the non-striker, because it's strange that as a dismissal, for me anyway, and I think it's just because players have been told since they were young, oh, that's a really bad thing, and it's just because people are told that's a really bad thing, as opposed to all the other modes of dismissal.
Yeah, well, it's never made any sense to me. It's either a dismissal or it's not. So I don't understand how, if you can be given out by the umpire, it's also listed as an unfair dismissal. I've never understood that. I think it's now where it should be. It's out or it's not out. Keep it nice and simple. The other one for mine is also the if you're out caught and you cross, that makes no difference whatsoever. The new batter will be on strike. Look, I feel like for mine, and this is just my opinion, and my opinion's probably still forming a little bit on this one, but my instinctive opinion on this one is that it's taking away a tactical decision out of the game. Now, I love the fact that cricket's got so much involved with regards to tactics and decision making, and the sides that inevitably hold their nerve and make the better decisions over 5 days, 1 day, 40 overs of cricket inevitably come out on top. My concern is it's taking away another decision that needs to be made by players out in the field, which I think, if you're able to make a sharper decision than the opposition in that scenario, then great, you get the advantage. It's taking away that decision and taking away the advantage that can be gained by making a good decision. For mine, it's a bit of, we're mucking around with the game when we don't need to be. I don't remember the last time anyone within the media or within a dressing room ever argued that rule was a problem. And that's what I generally form as a bit of a, we need to look at it, is there a lot of chat around about it? Well, I can't remember anyone ever talking about the fact that rule is there and the effect it's having on the game.
Yeah.
It's a perfectly good rule. It's a rule that created a decision for players to make out in the ground. If they got it wrong, it would hurt the team. If they got it right, it would benefit the team. That's my concern with that rule, Mel. I'm not sure where you stand.
For anyone who has watched the video, of course, which you should go and watch with Fraser, and my sense from what he said is look, for one, they feel that the bowlers should be rewarded a little bit more for taking wickets. So, of course, unless it's the final ball of the over, then you will have the set batter face the first ball of the next over. But that it actually, I mean, who knows? It might lead to more hat tricks, which was something that I'll be interested to see. And I guess the other thing that the laws aren't just for international cricket; they're for cricket at every level, from clubs, school cricket, grade cricket, everything, where you don't have the benefit of TV replays and third umpires and all of those things. So this actually makes things a bit more cut and dried for umpires. They're not having to try to have one eye on the batters running and at which point they cross or don't cross, but while on the other hand also keeping an eye on the ball in the air and the fielder coming in to catch. So that's kind of where that thinking is coming from, which I do also get. I know a few people that I've spoken to haven't liked it, don't like this change, not for the reason that you say, but because it's a quirk in cricket, and people kind of like that quirk. But yeah, you're right. There is a tactical thing in there that is being taken away, and I suppose it's what giving the bowlers a bit more reward as opposed to giving the batters a bit more power in their tactical running or not running is I guess the essence of the debate, if you take away from everything to do with making things easier for the umpires, essentially. So and it'll be interesting.
No, it's a good debate to have, Mel.
Sorry?
It's a great debate to have.
It is a great debate to have. Look, I'm all for it. I was really interested in it. No more saliva in the game when it comes to non-balls, all that sort of stuff. Really interesting. I can't recommend highly enough.
Well, you've got to say, Mel, I reckon if you've never watched the game before and you saw 10 different blokes, I'll take the wicketkeeper out of it, all spitting on their hands and rubbing on the ball, you'd be a bit disgusted, wouldn't you?
Well, Fraser put it well. He said, if you were in an office and you wanted to borrow a stapler from someone, can you imagine if you spat on the stapler before giving it to someone? It is kind of gross.
I'm with you.
Kind of gross.
100%. It's horrific.
Well, on that note, that is timed out for this week. Thanks for your thoughts as always, Cal. Really appreciate it. If you're watching at home, please do give us a like, drop a comment, do subscribe to the channel, and go check out those the Seems Legal episode as well, where we go through all the laws of the game, because I think it's really worthwhile. You'll no doubt be glued to the TV late into the night watching events here at Karachi, Cal.
I will be.
Absolutely. I will be.
That's right. Can't wait. It's exciting stuff.
It's exciting for me. I can't believe I'm here. Looking forward to bringing you everything. Check out Sporting News Australia for all of the reports and analysis and everything coming from here in Pakistan as well. So really enjoying being here and bringing you all that news. Until next week, whether you're watching Women's World Cup, whether you're watching events here or anywhere around the world or playing on the weekend, make sure that you enjoy your cricket, and see you next week.
See you guys.